When I was a kid, like a lot of people that want to be musicians, I was a freak, man. I would sit home all day and play a tennis racket to blasting Kiss, Led Zeppelin, you know, Deep Purple, you know, the heaviest stuff, Black Sabbath. You know, I just would stand there in the mirror and just make believe, just like fantasize with all of my might that I was on a stage playing. So when you're and there's a lot of kids that do that. So Carvin used to have these catalogs, and I guess they were smart enough and generous enough to send them out if you mailed in and they requested them. I was living in New York. I was 12 years old, and I got these catalogs and I opened them up, and you just see these giant stacks on these beautiful like lawns, and I just look at them, and they give you this feeling, you know. It's like, I guess, you know, like kids now, they get on Nintendo and they get all, you know, all this stuff. That was what it was like, you know. You look at these amps and it's just like every day is Christmas, you know, just looking at them. And so I always had this, you know, Carvin always had this mystique to me. And when I moved out to California and I started working with Frank, I never had any money, and I would always just fantasize about having a stack. You know, that was like the holy grail, having a stack. Ooh, you know. Carvin gave me a stack, and I remember just staring at it for about an hour when I got it. And I did a demo song for them, which was Blue Powder, and it was the X100B amp, and it was so thrilling for me to get that amp, you know. And I used it for years and years and years, you know. So I knew that one day I was going to want to design an amplifier. And, you know, at the time I kind of, you know, I was at this point where I could work with any company. There was a lot of companies, but there was something particular I wanted, and I knew they couldn't deliver it. And I tried, I really tried. In all due respect, I mean, those are great amplifiers, you know, all those other companies and stuff, but it just wasn't what I was looking for. So, and Carvin is a, you know, they're I say relatively small company, but it was quality. And when I got back in touch with them, they were ready to work with me on designing an amplifier that was, you know, custom to my tastes. And that's not easy. That's a tall order, because I'm a pain in the ass, you know, because I don't know how to settle for anything else. I could never compromise. And it's as easy as, if it's not going to be a certain way, then just don't do it. And it's not an ego thing. You know, it's like, why would you compromise? You know, I don't get it. You know, there's other things you can use, you know, there's other things you can do. So we worked very hard for about 18 months at designing a custom amp. And it's, for my taste and my, you know, feel and the kind of thing that I like to hear, it's virtually perfect. Primarily I'm a rock musician. I like rock music, you know, and I like metal, you know, and I like, but there's a certain, you know, there's a certain abrasive nature to the sounds of amps that, you know, a lot of amps that I just don't like. You know, it hurts, you know, it changes your, you know, it has an effect on you, you know, and so there's certain things that I pulled out of that sound to give the sound more accessible. You know, and I tried all those amplifiers. I don't want to mention them, you know, but they all had a brittleness to them, and there was no warmth, and they weren't user-friendly, you know, the way that I like to play. And I just worked on it with the, you know, with the guys at Carvin until the amp felt like a comfortable place to sit on, you know, and it is, and you know, it's the kind of amp that, you know, when I started playing it, I just didn't want to ever stop. You know, I just wanted to keep playing and playing, because it was just very responsive. You know, I could turn things down and it would clean up, and it's simple. It's very simple. You know, it's not very complex. It doesn't have a lot of, you know, it's your basic 2-channel and stuff like that, and that's all I wanted. I mean, you should see some of the stuff that I've seen. You know, it's just too, my music is complicated, but the way I like to do things is not. I want to plug and go. when a musician or an artist finds like a home, you know, like when you get your first guitar, you just love that guitar. You know, I always wanted to have a particular type guitar because my heroes played it. And when you get that thing, it's like home to you. It's like a warm place, you know. Well, that's the same with the equipment, you know, for anybody. I think, you know, when you get that amplifier or that guitar that you love, it's like your home, you know. And this is a great place to live.